I caught my girlfriend cheating on our dog camera. And she said, my friends dared me to test you. Maybe if you actually paid attention, you'd have stopped it. She declared, you're overreacting like a child. Real relationships survive little mistakes. So I left with my dog and cut off all financial support. Now she's homeless and asking for streaming passwords. Alright, so I guess this is the part where I admit I messed up by trusting someone way too much. I'm not gonna act like I was some perfect boyfriend, but I really thought it would end up like this. I, 25 male, and my girlfriend Angie, 24 female. We met 2 years ago during a mutual friend's party. Nothing crazy, someone's apartment, cheap takeout, music from a phone in a plastic cup. I wasn't even supposed to be there that night, but I ended up on the balcony with her, talking for hours about everything and nothing. She had this way of making everything feel easy. Fast forward a year and a half later, we're moving in together. 6 months ago, we signed the lease on a cozy little place just outside the city. And because we apparently thought we were ready for full-blown responsibility, we adopted a dog together, Gizmo. He's part gremlin, part chaos goblin, and somehow still adorable. He eats socks like it's a hobby and barks at random corners of the apartment like ghosts are paying rent. But he's ours. Well, mine. But at the time, I saw him as ours. Everything seemed good. Like, suspiciously good. We didn't really fight. She was supportive of my job in UI UX, which is just a fancier way of saying I design stuff so apps don't look like garbage. And I liked that she was studying to be a therapist. She always had insight, always said the right thing. Thoughtful, attentive, funny, all the stuff that makes you think, yeah, this is the one. But then there were her friends. Angie's been tight with 4 girls since high school. They've got that ride or die energy, but the toxic kind, not the loyal kind. You know the type. Group chats that are 70% trash-talking dudes and 30% screenshotting other people's relationships for entertainment. Whenever they came around, the mood shifted. They acted like relationships were a trap and bragged about cheating like it was some kind of flex. They'd throw these side comments around like, you guys are like a married couple already, or don't you want to live a little before settling down? I used to just laugh it off, but after a while it started to get under my skin. I couldn't tell if they were joking or seriously trying to mess with her head. Probably both. I remember one night we were all at our place watching something dumb on Netflix, and her friend Jessica turned to Angie and said, imagine being tied down at 25. Couldn't be me. Then she looked right at me. I smiled. She smiled. But it wasn't friendly. After they left, I brought it up. Tried to be casual about it. Hey, your friends are kind of intense. You ever feel like they're trying to stir stuff up? Angie got defensive right away. Said I was being paranoid. That they just wanted what was best for her. That they were protective because they'd seen her go through rough stuff before. Alright, cool. Benefit of the doubt. Maybe I was overthinking it. Then a few months ago, she changed. Not in a huge way at first. Just little things. More clingy, more physical. She'd come up behind me and wrap her arms around my waist while I was cooking. Random I miss you texts even though I was just in the other room. She'd act super into me, more than usual. Don't get me wrong. It was nice at first. But after a while it started to feel like she was overdoing it. Like she was trying to convince herself of something, not just me. At the same time, she started hanging out with her friends more. Girls' nights every weekend. Some weekdays too. I didn't think much of it at first. She needed her space, I got that. But it became constant. I'd ask what they were doing, and she'd get vague. Just catching up, or probably just talking and chilling. Never anything specific. Her phone became a permanent part of her hand. I'd walk into a room and she'd quickly put it face down or change screens. One night she jumped when I sat next to her and almost dropped it trying to lock the screen. I joked, "What, are you hiding state secrets?" She laughed. I laughed, but the tension was real. Then came the shift in routine. She started going out more, dressing up more than usual. Like full hair and makeup for a casual dinner, buying new clothes and saying stuff like, I just want to feel good about myself. Which, yeah, totally fine. She's allowed to feel confident. But there was something off about the way she'd take all these selfies before leaving, but then act weird if I complimented her. Like she didn't want validation from me. And every night, without fail, she'd shower the moment she got back. Not even a hey. Straight to the bathroom, door locked. When I'd try to talk after, she'd be exhausted or suddenly had homework. And it was always just off. Still, I told myself she was going through something. Maybe school stress, maybe just needing space. I didn't want to be the guy who made everything about himself. So I waited. I gave her time. I tried to be patient, but deep down, something didn't feel right. And I was right. So, a couple weeks after the whole love bomb phase kicked into high gear, I had a work trip scheduled. Nothing crazy, just 3 days in Austin. I'm in UI UX design and we were doing a product demo for some partners and potential clients. Basic business stuff. Too many PowerPoint slides, too much fake smiling, and lukewarm hotel coffee that tastes like burnt printer ink. Before I left, I asked Angie if she'd be all right staying home alone for a few nights. She gave me this casual shrug and said her friend Liv might come over to crash one night. Just so I don't get bored, she said. Cool, no problem. I didn't overthink it. I mean, I trusted her. I really did. The night I got to Austin, everything was business as usual. Got dinner with the team, some overpriced undercooked steak that probably cost more than my phone bill, and went back to the hotel by like 10:30. I couldn't sleep. Typical for me on work trips. Something about hotel sheets and those horrible polyester pillows. I was just doom scrolling social media, barely paying attention. And then, around 12:43 a.m., I get a notification from the pet cam we keep in the living room for Gizmo. Usually it's him knocking over a shoe or attacking a random blanket. This time, I figured it was just him being a gremlin again. I opened the app, not expecting anything. Just checking in because I was already wide awake and bored. Except this time, it wasn't Gizmo on screen. It was some dude I'd never seen before. Shirtless. Walking across our living room like he owned the place. Not panicked, not looking around like he was sneaking. Just there. Comfortable. Like he'd been there a lot. I just froze. Didn't even blink. My phone started to tilt in my hand, and I remember adjusting it like I was watching a movie I didn't want to miss a second of. Then she came into the frame. Angie, wearing my hoodie. Nothing else. Laughing. Walking right up to him and throwing her arms around his neck like it was some goddamn rom-com. They kissed. A long, drawn-out, completely shameless kiss. Gizmo popped into view, wagging his tail like he was hyping them up, completely unaware of the chaos unfolding. I watched them go into the bedroom. Our bedroom. My bed. And the camera feed went quiet. I don't even know how long I sat there. Could have been 5 minutes or 50. My phone eventually dimmed, and I didn't even touch it. My brain just shut down, like my body didn't know what to do with the information it just absorbed. There was no guessing. No, maybe I'm misreading this. I wasn't looking at flirty messages or vague Instagram stories. This was it. Live footage. Proof. And that's what made it hit harder. I wasn't suspicious. I wasn't snooping. I trusted her. And still, this is what she did. I stayed up the rest of the night. No point trying to sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her in my hoodie with that stranger's hands on her waist. I wanted to feel angry, but honestly, I felt numb, like my brain was buffering. No anger, no tears, just stunned silence. The kind of silence that doesn't even leave room for emotions yet. Around 4 a.m., I pulled up her texts. Nothing out of the ordinary. She'd messaged me a few hours earlier. Hope your meeting went okay. Love you, heart. I stared at it for a while. That little heart emoji suddenly looked fake as hell, like a band-aid over a bullet wound. I thought about texting her. Something simple like, I saw, but I didn't. I wanted to wait, not out of some revenge plan or anything. I just wanted to come back with a clear head. The next morning, I powered through my meetings on autopilot, said all the right things, nodded when I was supposed to, answered client questions like my life wasn't in shambles. No one noticed anything was wrong. Honestly, the whole thing felt fake, like I was playing a character in a life that didn't even belong to me. I skipped lunch, went back to the hotel, and sat in silence for a while. Just me and that stupid beige carpet, trying to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do next. Eventually, I texted Chris. If there's one person who was always blunt to a fault, it's Chris. We'd been best friends since middle school. The guy who once told me my first high school girlfriend was barely into you, bro, at a pizza place mid-slice. He doesn't sugarcoat. Ever. I typed out a long message, then deleted half of it. Just sent, yo, she cheated. I have video. He called me within seconds. What the hell happened? I told him everything. The hoodie, the camera, the guy, the bedroom. I think he was more pissed than I was. Brother cheat back? Get even. You want me to Venmo you for a steak dinner and a distraction? I laughed a little, but it didn't reach all the way through. Nah, man. I'm not gonna stoop to that. I'm gonna handle this in my way. He was quiet for a second, then said, all right, you sure? Yeah, I've got something better in mind. I didn't have a full plan yet, but I knew I wasn't gonna go out looking pathetic. I wasn't gonna spiral. I wasn't gonna post sad quotes or start looking for someone to fill the void. That wasn't me. I was gonna think it through. And when I did make a move, she was gonna feel it. I got back from Austin 2 days after I saw the footage. I didn't rush home, didn't blow up Angie's phone, didn't even tell her I'd landed. I let her sit in silence. Honestly, I needed the silence too. That kind of quiet helps you think clearly. You learn a lot just watching how someone acts when they don't know they've been caught yet. When I pulled into our parking lot, Gizmo's face was the only one I was even remotely excited to see. I knew he wouldn't know what happened. He's just a dog. A good one. Tail wagging like I'd been gone a year. Face pressed against the glass. That moment, him barking like a maniac while I unlocked the door, was the only normal thing I'd felt in days. I walked in like I had every other time before. Same keys, same backpack, same welcome mat that said, "Stay a while" in dumb cursive letters. Except this time, I had a plan brewing in the back of my head. And Angie had no idea I'd watched her make out with another guy in our living room. She wasn't home when I got in. Probably at a study group or whatever she was pretending to be part of that week. She left a note on the counter. "Can't wait to see you tonight, Babe Hard Eyes." Cute. Real cute. I didn't touch anything. Just put my stuff down, took Gizmo out, gave him extra treats, and waited. That's when I called Chris again. He picked up on the second ring. "You home?" "Yeah." "She there?" "Nope. But she left me a handwritten lie on the kitchen counter, so that's something." He exhaled hard into the phone. "All right. So what's the move now? You still planning on confronting her?" I sat on the couch, staring at a half-burned candle she left on the table. "Yeah, but I'm not gonna scream. I'm not gonna cry. I'm just gonna give her the facts, take my dog, and bounce." There was a pause. Then Chris said, "That's cold." I respect it. It's not cold. It's honest. And it was. I wasn't about to sit there like some melodramatic dude begging for answers. I had all the answers I needed. I had timestamps. I had visuals. I had a hoodie that wasn't mine being worn by someone who definitely wasn't me. But before any of that, I needed to run through the reality of what just happened with someone who didn't sugarcoat things. Chris is that guy. Always has been. We met when we were 12, sitting on the same bench during a detention we both got for making fart noises during a film strip on volcanoes. Real mature. But that's where it started. And since then, the guy's been my go-to voice of reason. Brutally honest, zero fluff, no drama. That's why when he told me to cheat back, I didn't take it personally. That's just his version of trying to pump me up. It wasn't about revenge. It was about not letting me sink into some pathetic spiral. But I told him straight up, I don't want to play dirty. I want her to sit with it. I want her to know exactly why she's losing me and why she won't get a second shot. "Then what are you gonna do?" he asked. "I'm gonna let her talk. I want to see if she lies to my face. I want to see what version of the story she tries to spin. I'm not gonna lose it. I just want to see who I've really been living with." Chris said nothing for a few seconds, then added, "All right, but make sure you take Gizmo. Don't leave that dog in the middle of her disaster." "Obviously," I said. "He's the only one in this house who hasn't lied to me." After that, we hung up. I tossed my phone on the couch and started packing a bag. Not everything, just the essentials. Chargers, toothbrush, work laptop, gym clothes, and Gizmo stuff. Food, leash, blanket. I wasn't gonna drag it out. I just wanted out. But I also wanted her to see what done looked like. And yeah, part of me was nervous. You think you know someone after 2 years. You share a bed, a lease, a dog, a Spotify playlist. Then one night, one notification changes how you see everything. And now you're sitting in the same apartment, wondering how long they were lying to your face with that same voice that used to make you feel safe. She came home around 7:30 p.m. Gizmo sprinted to the door like he always does. Angie walked in all bubbly, like it was date night. I watched her from the kitchen. She didn't notice my duffel bag sitting by the hallway. She didn't notice anything was off. "Hey babe, you're back." She walked over and kissed my cheek. I didn't move. I just looked at her and said, "We need to talk." She tilted her head like I just told her we were out of milk. "Okay, what's up?" I didn't respond. I just pulled out my phone, opened the pet cam app, scrolled to the clip from Thursday night, and held the screen up for her to see. Her whole face changed. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't even gasp. She just stared. Then, slowly, she said, "I can explain." Of course she could. They always can. So there we were, me in the kitchen, Angie standing by the couch, Gizmo pacing between us like he was trying to figure out who was about to drop a treat or start yelling, and my phone screen still glowing, paused on the frame where she's got her arms wrapped around some guy in my hoodie, walking into our bedroom like she wasn't in a relationship. She looked at the screen for a while before speaking. When she finally did, her voice was weirdly calm. "Okay, look, I know how that looks, but I swear, it's not what you think." That line, the all-time greatest hit of guilty people everywhere. "Not what I think? Ma'am, I literally watched you make out with some guy like you were auditioning for The Bachelor. This isn't a mystery novel." I just stared at her, said nothing. She shifted her weight, crossed her arms. It was a dare. The girls. They dared me to reach out to my ex, just to mess with him a little. And I didn't plan on anything happening, but he came over and I didn't want to look stupid backing out. I blinked. Slowly. A dare, I repeated. That's your story? Your friends dared you to hook up with your ex, and you went through with it because you didn't want to look stupid? She nodded, like that made perfect sense. You know how they are. They always push me into stuff. So you're telling me you cheated on me because your friends peer pressured you like you were at a 7th grade sleepover and someone dared you to prank call Pizza Hut? She rolled her eyes. You don't get it. No, I really don't. And that's when the switch flipped in her. The fake sadness, the remorse she barely even attempted, it evaporated. She stepped closer, defensive now. You've always acted like you're better than them, like you see through everything, but you didn't even notice what was happening. You didn't even ask questions. I laughed once under my breath. I didn't ask questions because I trusted you. Well, maybe that was the problem, she snapped. I swear I felt time stop for a second, like my brain just needed an extra moment to make sure it heard her right. The problem, I said slowly, was me trusting you? She crossed her arms again and looked away. They said if you really paid attention to me, you'd notice something was going on. It was supposed to be a test. I looked at her like she had just told me the earth was flat. A test. You cheated on me as a test. That's the explanation? She nodded again like she just solved a math problem. It was about seeing if you cared. Like, would you notice? Would you fight for me? I had to sit down. Not because I was about to cry or anything, but because this level of nonsense physically exhausted me. You know what's wild? I said. I was gonna propose to you. Not this month, not even this year. But I was thinking about it. I was looking at rings. I was planning for a life with you. Her expression changed then, like she realized, for the first time, that I wasn't just angry. I was disappointed in a way that meant I wasn't coming back from it. You were gonna propose? She said, voice quiet now. Yeah, and now I'm standing here wondering how I ever thought that made sense. You weren't even in this relationship. You were in some reality TV show your toxic friends wrote the script for. Angie didn't say anything for a long time. Then finally, I messed up. I know that. But can't we just talk about it? Figure it out? No, I said. We're not figuring anything out. She blinked fast like she was about to cry, but it felt like she was doing it because she thought it might work, like it was a move, not a reaction. You can't just walk away over this, she said. Actually, I can. And I am. I stood up, grabbed the duffel I'd packed earlier, then picked up Gizmo's leash. He stood right by me without hesitation. Smart dog. You're seriously leaving? She asked, like this was somehow a minor disagreement. Yeah, I said. And I'm taking Gizmo. You can't just take him. He's mine too. I didn't raise my voice, didn't even stop moving. I adopted him. I pay for everything. I train him. I walk him. I take care of him. You took a dare. I'm taking my dog. She followed me to the door. You're overreacting. I paused, hand on the handle, then looked back once. I watched you cheat on me on camera, and your excuse is that you didn't want to look lame in front of your friends. That's not overreacting, Angie. That's reality. I opened the door. You'll regret this, she said, and her voice cracked a little. You think I'm the bad guy, but someday you'll realize you let something good go. I stared at her for one last moment. You're right. I did let something good go. Me. And then I walked out. I didn't look back. Not once. I walked out that door with Gizmo, my duffel bag, and about 12% of my dignity still intact. I wasn't sad, I wasn't numb, I was locked in. It's like once everything snapped into place, I could finally see clearly. It was weird. You expect heartbreak to hit all at once, but for me, it was like breaking a bad habit. The hardest part was realizing I should have done it sooner. First night out, we crashed at Chris's place. He doesn't have roommates, just a tiny 2-bedroom apartment, with zero furniture except a couch, a TV on the floor, and a mattress with no bed frame. Still, it felt like peace. I slept on a beanbag with Gizmo curled up next to me, snoring like a baby boar, and honestly, best sleep I'd had in months. Next morning, I got to work. Step 1, pull the plug. I canceled everything. All the shared subscriptions, gone. Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, even the Disney Plus she was probably still logged into on her laptop. I reset passwords on every service and pulled my payment info off anything tied to her name. Our shared grocery app? Deleted. Amazon Prime? Nope. That one stung a little because I had stuff on the way, but whatever. Clean break. I also called the electric company, the internet provider, and the water service. See, when we moved in, everything was under my name. She couldn't qualify for the lease alone back then, so I covered it. Now that I was out, I wasn't about to keep paying for her Wi-Fi so she could FaceTime her friends about how toxic I was for not understanding the dare. While I was at it, I contacted our landlord, told him I was formally requesting to remove myself from the lease, sent in a copy of my ID, the notice in writing, and a signed document saying I wouldn't be living there or contributing to rent moving forward. The guy was understanding, probably because I was polite and handled it like an adult. By noon, I'd wiped myself off that apartment like I was never there. It felt kind of surreal, but also freeing, like untagging yourself from every bad memory. Of course, Angie noticed. It started with texts. Angie, 9:14 a.m. Hey, I can't log into Netflix. Did we get hacked? Angie, 9:16 a.m. Spotify too? Angie, 9:20 a.m. Okay, what's going on? I didn't reply. Why would I? She didn't explain herself when she was cheating, but now I'm supposed to respond about Spotify? A few hours later, the tone shifted. Angie, 12:45 p.m. Wow, real mature. Grow up. Angie, 12:47 p.m. You're being petty over a mistake. Angie, 1:10 p.m. You seriously took the dog? You know he likes me better. She was unraveling, and I wasn't even doing anything. That's the part that blew my mind. I hadn't said a single word to her since I walked out. All I did was remove myself from her life the way she made herself available to that random guy in my hoodie. Then, about a week later, rent was due. Angie, 4:33 p.m. Hey, just wanted to check if you paid rent this month? I almost laughed out loud reading that. Like, huh? I replied with the only message I sent her since the breakup. Me. No longer on the lease. You're responsible for your portion now, I told the landlord last week. 10 minutes later, she called. I didn't answer. Then the text poured in. Angie, 4:46 p.m. What the hell? You can't just leave. Angie, 4:47 p.m. I can't afford rent by myself. Angie, 4:50 p.m. You're ruining my life. I didn't reply to any of them. Not because I was trying to ghost her for power or anything. I just genuinely didn't have anything left to say. She made her choices. I made mine. By the end of the week, Chris and I moved my stuff into a short-term rental I found online. Tiny place, but cozy. I set up a desk in the corner for work, laid down Gizmo's bed, and just started over. No drama, no shared passwords, no fake notes on the counter pretending things were okay. That's when I got the final text from her. Angie, Sunday, 11:02 p.m. You know, I hope you feel good about being this immature. Real men don't run away. They work through things. I didn't reply. I just blocked her. Because here's the thing. I wasn't running. I stayed through the hard parts. I communicated when stuff felt weird. I gave her the benefit of the doubt for months. I didn't jump to conclusions. I waited, I observed, and when I had proof, actual, undeniable proof, I still let her speak. She told me everything I needed to hear. What she didn't realize is that when you show someone who you really are, you don't get to decide how they react. She wanted me to fight for her, but you don't fight for someone who treats you like a test. You walk away and let them figure out why they're alone. And as for Gizmo, he's better than ever. Tail wagging constantly. No more pacing at the door waiting for someone who comes home smelling like lies. We go for walks. I bought him a new harness. He's got a spot next to my desk where he naps while I work. He's loyal. And loyalty isn't something you dare someone into proving. It's been a few months now. Not sure exactly when the switch flipped, but somewhere between reorganizing my closet and Gizmo learning how to paw the treat jar lid open, I stopped waking up angry. There's this weird moment after everything crashes where life doesn't feel heavy anymore. It's quiet. Not the bad kind of quiet either, just peaceful. That's where I'm at. I've been living in this new apartment for almost 10 weeks. It's a small one-bedroom, nothing fancy. My desk's in the corner of the living room. Gizmo's bed is under the window where the sunlight hits in the morning. He loves it. We've got a park 2 blocks away, and I take him there every day around 6 p.m. We do this thing where he sniffs the same 3 bushes, like it's his full-time job, then sits like a king at the edge of the path watching squirrels. It's the most stability I've had in a while. Work's been steady, freelance projects are rolling in, and my clients actually pay on time now, which feels illegal, but I'm not complaining. Chris helped me build a makeshift standing desk out of plywood and cinder blocks. Not pretty, but my back doesn't feel like it belongs to an 80-year-old anymore, so we'll call it a win. As for Angie, I haven't seen her. Haven't heard from her either. At least not directly. But people talk. Even when you don't want them to, they do. It started with a DM from a guy I barely know. One of those dudes who was always on the fringe of our college circle. He messaged me like, "Hey man, didn't want to stir anything, but thought you should know." Angie's been going around saying you ghosted her out of nowhere and left her with rent she couldn't afford? Right. I ghosted her after watching her play tonsil hockey with another dude on my dog cam. Makes sense. I didn't reply to him, but I did laugh. I'm talking full body, sit back in your chair kind of laugh. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. That's how people like her operate. They flip the script when the consequences show up. She wasn't the girl who betrayed someone who trusted her. She was the heartbroken victim abandoned by a cold boyfriend. It's like her whole personality turned into a sad song playlist, with zero accountability. Then I heard from someone else, one of her old classmates. Turns out the guy she cheated with, yeah, that one, he dipped 2 weeks after I moved out. Just stopped texting, stopped showing up. Apparently, he told someone at a party that she was too clingy and had crazy ex energy. The irony wasn't lost on me. You cheat with a guy who doesn't know anything about loyalty, then you're shocked when he doesn't stick around? That's like being mad the crocodile bit you after you jumped into the swamp. She tried to get her friends to take her side too. Didn't work out. One of them, I think her name's Tessa, posted some vague caption about keeping your circle clean, and not long after that, Angie was cropping people out of her pics like it was high school drama season. Word is she moved out of our old place. Couldn't afford the rent, which wasn't surprising. I was covering most of it anyway when we lived together. She tried to find a roommate, but nobody wants to share a 2-bedroom with a girl who has a reputation for blowing up her own relationships and then crying about it. Last I heard, she's staying with her cousin, selling secondhand hoodies online. And no shade to people grinding through tough times, but let's not act like the universe didn't serve this one up on a platter. She earned that situation one dare at a time. Meanwhile, I'm good. Really good, actually. Not in a fake, I'm thriving Instagram story way. Just steady, grounded. Chris and I started hitting the gym again. We're both trash at upper body workouts, but we show up. I've been playing pickup basketball on Saturdays with a group of guys I met through work. They're mostly developers and digital artists who talk trash like they're in the NBA, but couldn't shoot a free throw to save their lives. We still have fun, and I'm not rushing into anything. I've gone on a couple dates, nothing serious. Just grabbing coffee, having a laugh, seeing what the world looks like when you're not tangled in someone else's mess. One girl was cool, really into indie music and could quote every line from The Office. Another one ghosted me after 2 dates, which sucked a little, but whatever. I'm not jaded, I'm just patient now. I think the biggest change is that I trust myself more. Back then, I kept second-guessing everything. Was I too sensitive? Was I being paranoid? Was I boring? But nah. Turns out, being steady and loyal just isn't exciting to people who confuse chaos with love. That's not a me problem. That's a compatibility mismatch. Gizmo's thriving too. He's gotten chunkier, don't judge me. And he knows how to high-five now. The neighbors love him. There's this retired guy downstairs who gives him a little piece of turkey every time we pass. Gizmo now refuses to use the elevator, unless we stop by that door first. He's got standards, I guess. Some nights I still think about it. Not in a bitter way, just reflections. Like remembering how quiet it got when I showed her the video. How quickly her face changed. How easy it was for her to shrug it all off like I wasn't real. That part still stings sometimes. Not because I want her back, hell no, but because it made me realize how different our ideas of love were. To her, it was a game, a dare, a challenge from her friends. To me, it was real. It was home. But now, I've built a new one. Smaller, quieter, but mine. And no one's dared me to ruin it yet. Yo, it's been a minute. Thought I was done posting about this whole mess. But something happened last week that I had to share. So I haven't heard from Angie in months. Blocked her after she tried to call me immature for, you know, not continuing to fund her Netflix habit after she cheated on me as a dare. Life's been quiet. Gizmo's good. I'm good. Then I get a voicemail from a random number. It's Angie. She's crying kind of, but not like real crying. More like frustrated sniffling. And she says, I kid you not. Hey, I was trying to log into Disney Plus and it's saying the account isn't working anymore. I think you changed the password or something. Can you send it to me again? Also, I've been thinking about you and Gizmo. Hope he's okay. Ma'am? Ma'am. Not, I'm sorry for cheating. Not, I regret everything. Nope. Can I get that Disney Plus password? I didn't even respond. Just blocked the number, gave Gizmo a treat, and opened Disney Plus on my own account like a king. We watched The Mandalorian. He fell asleep halfway through. I didn't. Not because I was sad, but because I was too busy laughing. Anyway, thanks again to everyone who told me to pack up and walk when I posted originally. Y'all were right. Peace isn't loud. It's quiet and solid. Kinda like Gizmo snoring against your leg while the credits roll. Stay well, fellas. Choose peace, choose dogs, and keep your passwords to yourself. I'm out. Woof.